Welcome! In this video, I'll be providing an introduction to the Jigsaw Cooperative Learning Technique. This video is part of the module created by Group 2 for ECI 517. I've added the image source for images found online, and the rest of the images were either created or purchased through eLearning Brothers. Let's get started. In 1954, schools were desegregated, and for the first time, teachers had to teach to a racially diverse classroom. As one might expect, this was a difficult transition, not only for the teachers but also for the students. There were frequent disruptions in class, and racial tensions were at an all-time high. These disruptions were preventing students from learning, and the teachers needed help. What they needed was a new instructional approach, and the Jigsaw Cooperative Learning Technique was created. Dr. Elliot Aronson created the Jigsaw Learning Technique in the late 1970s at the University of Texas and University of California. So what exactly is this technique? As previously mentioned, it is a cooperative learning technique that was initially designed to help minimize and reduce the racial conflicts that were happening as a result of desegregation. However, over the years, it has been demonstrated that this learning technique has more benefits than simply reducing classroom conflicts. The Jigsaw Classroom website at jigsaw.org reports that this learning technique promotes better learning, improves student motivation, and improves enjoyment of the learning environment. You cannot create a puzzle without using all the pieces in the box. There is no right or wrong way to create the puzzle. The only requirement is that every piece is used. And this analogy carries through with this learning technique. Each student's contributions have the same weight, and there's a vested interest in sharing information. Without the sharing of information, the assignment cannot be completed. Let's take a closer look at how we'll be using this technique in our class. So we have a class of 15 students represented here. The first thing that we need to do is organize the group into the home or expert groups. Typically, the groups will be from 3 to 6 students, depending on the topic and size of the class. For our purposes, we will use groups of 5. Once we've created the expert groups, we will next want to assign each of the groups a branch of government. Each member of the group will work individually to research their assigned branch of government. After working individually, the students will come back to their expert group and share what they found. So for instance, in Group 1, all the students will first individually research the executive branch of government, and then they'll come back to their group and collaborate together to determine what is the correct answers to each of the questions that have been posed in the Unit 2 rubric. Once they've created this PowerPoint, they will then be able to move on to the next step. Here, we'll move from the expert groups to learning groups. Each member of the expert group will bring their expertise and their PowerPoint to the learning group. Each of these learning groups will have at least one expert from each of the 3 branches of government. Together, these learning groups will collaborate and create a final PowerPoint video that will be shared with Bob so he can take back to his home planet. The rubric for this final video can be found under the Unit 3 rubric. This introduction was to introduce you to the learning technique that we'll be using for this module. Your expert group assignment will be assigned in class on Monday, and class time will be given to allow you some initial research time. To prepare for this class session, go to Unit 2 and review the requirements for that unit, and take a look at the rubric, which will list the requirements for the expert group activity. Good luck!